All right. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck. And today we have episode 32. Let me go ahead and start. Start to share. Hold on a second. I had this set up earlier, and now why can I not? Of course, when you want it. All right, speaker. No. Immersive. No. You know, gallery. Start. All right. Oh, nope. That's not it. Screen 3. All right, we'll do it like this. Because obviously, oh, here it is. There we go. Okay. All right, do me a favor, guys. You should see me full screen now, correct?
You're the right half, and then the date, the event.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. All right, but I'm meaning you're not seeing any of the Zoom windows or anything, right? Okay. So last week, a buddy of mine um, sent me a little text afterwards. He's from Ohio. He logs in every once in a while. He was here last week, and he goes, I was watching, and I really couldn't read the text when you presented the Photoshop thing or the Lightroom thing, and I'm like, that's funny because I thought I had that taken care of a while back, and come to find out that that was before I changed over to this new prompter. And I realized that the new prompter has a lower screen resolution than my previous one, which I didn't even take into account. So anyway, trying to figure out how to get the resolution back up. I think I have it settled. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the desktop. All right, because we're going to be doing some stuff here. But do me a favor. Can you read the text okay? Or is it like really?
It's small.
Oh,
But when you
yeah.
highlight it, when you use your highlighter, it brings it out.
Uh,
You can't see. You know, when you zoom in on it,
oh, right, like this?
magnifying glass. Yeah, that's
Okay.
okay right now. That's
Okay. All right. Because I was trying to figure out how to get the resolution back up, and I think I solved it. So we'll just move forward. All right. So what I got. Oh, let's go back to this one. What I got for you today is a few days ago. I don't know if you guys follow anything that that Adobe does with Lightroom and Photoshop and things like that. But Lightroom released a series of connections that allow you to use certain aspects of Photoshop within ChatGPT. So if you use ChatGPT, you can now connect to the Photoshop app, which is the online Photoshop app, and you can use real world language to do a certain amount of editing within ChatGPT. So you basically you load up a photograph and you says, okay, make this darker, make that lighter, blur this. There's a very limited amount of editing that you can do within ChatGPT, but it might be useful for some people. Now, I wanted to demonstrate that today, But I also found out that there's a limit. If you have the free version of ChatGPT, which is what I have, you're limited to 2 images a day. And guess what I did without even realizing it? I blew right through those 2 and trying to figure out all this stuff. So I can't really show you what ChatGPT can do. I will let you know that it is very limited. All right. However, there's a few things that we can do. All right. So the first thing I want to do is, if you do have a free ChatGPT account or even a paid ChatGPT account, I'm going to show you how to connect ChatGPT to the Lightroom connector. Okay. I just won't be able to demonstrate how it works. All right. Now, I do pay for another AI suite that has within it ChatGPT. All right. However, within that suite of tools, I don't have access to the Photoshop connector. All right. It's not part of that suite. It's only with the standalone ChatGPT. Okay. However, I can show you other things that you can use ChatGPT for in order to edit your images. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I just want to kind of show you how to connect. So let me go to ChatGPT. I'm going to show you how to connect your ChatGPT account to the Photoshop thing. All right. The first thing you need to do is you need to come down all the way to the bottom left corner. All right. Now, usually you will have, let's see, this open with all kinds of things, but I don't want to confuse things and with all my stuff showing there. So, but anyway, if you go all the way down to the bottom, all right, where your account information is, okay, there's going to be the settings tab, okay. All you got to do is click on that settings tab and it'll pull up this panel, okay. Halfway down, you're going to see this that says apps and connectors. All you got to do is click on that. And right across the top, you're going to see the 3 Adobe products that they just added. All right, so they added Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Express, and the one we need, which is Adobe Photoshop. Okay, and all you got to do is just click on Adobe Photoshop and then hit connect. It's going to create another pop-up, and then you hit connect again. All right, and then it'll tell you Adobe Photoshop is now connected. Yeah, you can see that all the way at the top. Okay, and that's it. We can close this out, and at this point, what you would do is you would load in an image. All right, and I tried loading in raw images, and it wouldn't do it. It would indicate that the file was there, but there was no preview. All right, so obviously it can't do raw files, or either camera raw or any of the DNG. I tried it with a DNG, which is Adobe's digital negative format, raw format, and even that it had trouble recognizing. So you're going to probably be working on a JPEG. So right off the bat, you know, that limits you to the quality that you can get out of your image files. As you know, you're going to get the best quality from a raw file. All right. So to use it, what you'll need to do is come over here where it says the little plus. All right, you're going to click on that, and then you're going to go down all the way to the bottom where it says more, and it's going to open up a little side panel that has the Adobe Photoshop, and then you just click on that, and you'll see Photoshop is now waiting for you to upload the image. And then to upload an image, you just click on the plus. All right. And the first one here, all right, it will say upload an image. But as you can see, I've reached my limit. All right. So I have to wait another, until tomorrow. So it's every 24 hours. You have a limit of 2 images for the free version. All right. If it's something that you feel is going to be beneficial, then yeah, you can go ahead and get the subscription. However, like I said, I found that it's not quite there. All right. There are way too many limitations for me to say it justifies paying the subscription to ChatGPT. It's just not there. Okay. All right. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, that's a major limitation, only 2 images a day. What else can I do? Well, I do have a subscription to Abacus AI. All right. I use Abacus AI intensely because I develop curriculum for a lot of my classes here and things like that. And it also helps me in my business with a lot of my business correspondence. Okay. It just I just write my ideas, and it puts them together in a orderly fashion, and creates a very business tone to my writing. So I kind of appreciate that. However, I said, okay, well, I do have ChatGPT as part of this suite. But like I mentioned, I cannot use that Photoshop plugin. It's not available through the suite of tools in Abacus AI, unfortunately. However, I am not limited to the 2 image upload a day. I can upload as many images into ChatGPT, and I can ask all kinds of questions to ChatGPT. All right. But again, I am limited to a JPEG. So what I have here are 3 images that I pulled for today's class. And what I did is I exported them to kind of like a medium-sized JPEG file. All right. And I have those right here in my file browser. Okay. So these are just JPEGs of my raw files in Lightroom. Okay. So this is how you can use ChatGPT. What I did is I put in this one here of a friend of mine who does Santa, and this was from a Photo with Santa's event that we did about a month ago. He was Santa. My friend Marty was the elf, and this was at a horse rescue. So they would bring in these miniature ponies, and we had this one rescued mare that we used in the photos. And I clicked this. I thought this is a great promo image for the event. So I uploaded that, and I asked ChatGPT to go ahead and analyze and suggest possible edits to visually strengthen this image. All right, hold on one second. I have a visitor. Hello, puppy. Hello, puppy. Okay, yeah, I know. The owner's dog just came waltzing into my studio. Speak. Can you speak? Can you speak? He's looking for tennis balls. I I would put tennis balls on my C stance so that people won't poke their eyes out. It found them and it cleaned me out of all my tennis balls. So, but anyway, sorry, no tennis balls for you. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I asked it to go ahead and analyze and suggest possible edits to visually strengthen this image. And it came back with a full suggestion, okay? Starting off with what's working already, and then what's visually weakening it, okay? Now, the thing is, come on, hold on a second. Give me 1 second. I gotta go ahead. Come on, go, 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 go. Shoot. Come on.
The dog
Go
on
see
the
Daddy.
plate. You
Go
don't
see
have a
Daddy.
dog.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all
I just in the middle.
those types of
Invite if they did. Okay. Up front. Thanks. Sorry. Beautiful dog, very playful puppy, but right now I'm working. Okay. All right. So one of the reasons why I kind of like this this idea is because if you recall, when we are looking to edit an image, if you recall, what I teach is to go ahead and analyze what is wrong with the image. Then you will be able to select the tools in order to fix what you perceive as being wrong with the image. And then you can get into more creative images. Okay. And what I've been doing on this channel with you guys is kind of training your eye to look for what is wrong with an image, you know, and I've broken it down very simply. It's either going to be something about your lighting, something about the color, or something about the texture. Okay. Aside from the obvious, you know, crooked horizons and cropping, things like that. Okay. But I also understand that oftentimes you may walk into an image not really knowing what it is that you want to do with it. And people can struggle with this and says, well, you know, I keep staring at this and nothing is jumping out at me as to, you know, what needs fixing. You know, I can kind of see some of the more obvious things, like, you know, I can take a look at this and it says, okay, well, it's a little underexposed because it's a little dark. But beyond that, you know, I don't know what it needs. All right. So having the ability of an AI to be able to analyze an image and say, okay, I've analyzed it. Here are the strong points. Here are the weak points. Is a great way of getting a start. It's not necessarily an end all to the situation, but it's a great way to get a start. Now, a word of warning: you do not have to take everything that gets reported back through the ChatGPT as law. You don't have to take everything it says at face value. All right. You can pick and choose to ignore certain elements. And I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. Okay. So let's go over this a little bit here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question for you?
sure.
Confirm, clarify something. So this thing you're working with is Apagus AI, which
Yep.
has a connection to ChatGPT.
Yeah. So I'm using ChatGPT as the language model.
Okay, so does what this analysis that so it's really ChatGPT that just provided this analysis.
Correct.
And this image uploading, did this have anything to do or require the Photoshop
No,
connector?
no,
So
this does not.
so I could go to my free ChatGPT account
Cor-
and enter this prompt that you've got and upload a picture and say, have at it, guys.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. All right. But like I said, there's a limit of how many images you can upload to the free account. Okay. So I know there are multiple free chat GPTs available, you know, so if you have chat GPT free account and it only limits you to two, maybe one of the other GPTs that, you know, have a free account, you may be able to upload a couple more images there. All right. You might have to shop around to see which ones allow you to upload more images than not. You know, but like I said, I pay for this one simply because I use AI quite a bit. All right. So just to be open and transparent with you guys. So um, but anyway, so I know I can upload multiple images, you know, in order to be able to teach this process to you guys. All right. So if you're limited to only a couple images, then, you know, maybe you're working on an image that you want to enter into competition with one of the camera clubs. All right. And you want to hedge your bet with the analysis. Well, then reserve it for that image, you know. Um, Otherwise, yeah, you're going to be stuck with you know, the limit. Okay. All right. So I asked it to analyze and make a suggestion as to uh, uh, possible edits. Okay. Um, the other, let's see. Oh, I know. Here, a previous time, what I did is, let's see, using ChatGPT. I did this a while back. All right. I uploaded this image here. Um, I'm working with a gentleman who's actually I introduced him a while back, Mark, who is running the Photo Judge website for judging competitions. One of the things that he introduced into the software was an AI agent to assist the judges in analyzing an image. Okay. So we were having a discussion about, you know, how effective an AI model is at analyzing and giving critical, subjective, subjective criticism on an image, not or I'm sorry, objective, not subjective, very objective. All right. So I uploaded this image here and I asked it to go ahead and rate my image. All right. And of course, I forgot to upload it and it gave me a score of 88. Okay. Which now I'm like, okay, well, a score of 88 doesn't mean shit to me. What the hell? What's 88? So I asked it, what does that rating mean? And by what standards are you using to establish that score? All right. So it responds back, I rated this image 88 out of 100 based on a set of criteria I apply when judging photographs, especially portraits or stylized shots. And here's how I arrived at that score. Okay. So it clearly identifies the criteria that it uses for scoring. So the strengths, okay, which would be a positive score. All right, it looks at the lighting, the styling, pose and confidence, and composition. Okay, and then it weighs it against any weaknesses in the image, which would be negative points. All right. So in this case, glass reflections, lighting balance, background elements, are they detracting? And how it approaches the scoring, which I thought was pretty interesting. And what it said was, I start at 100. So the default is, I'm going to assume that your image is the best. It's going to score 100%. Okay. Perfect execution. All right. So strong composition, styling, and atmosphere earned it a high score. Okay. The obscured eyes, meaning the glasses that were kind of obscured by the light, and the small distractions cost points, which are weighed more heavily than the positives. All right. Uh, because as it states, the flaws stand out strongly in critical judging, which is interesting because, I knew this, but I never quite put it into words before. So when I saw it written out, it's like, that click in the head, the connection. Well, I had one of those, and it says, "Oh yeah, I do this all the time. I just didn't know what it was called." But yeah, all right. And it says why it brought it to a score of 88, which means it's still a very strong, stylish portrait, but it's not flawless. Okay. And then it says, okay, would you like me to suggest specific adjustments, for retouching or tweaking the lighting that could bring it up into the 90s? All right. So now the reason I bring this up is if you are involved in a camera club, or you're looking to submit images for competition, such as, a lot of the state fairs, they have open competitions in the photography categories that people like to enter. So if you're considering an image for entry, run it through ChatGPT, say, hey, score it for me. All right. And then give me suggestions on how it can score higher. All right. So, and yeah, so I didn't quite take it from there. All right. But I could, let's go here. All right. Yes. Um, Tell me what specific adjustments I can use to get a higher score. All right. So yes, tell me the specific adjustments I can use to get a higher score. Okay. And we're going to send that. It's going to come back. All right. So here are actionable adjustments that could realistically push this image from an 88, according to ChatGPT. Now, according to ChatGPT, all right, different judge would probably give it a different score, but we're going with ChatGPT. All right, so to take it from an 88 to a possible 92 to 95 in a critical judging contents. All right. Now it says reveal the eyes, which is a biggest score booster. All right. Now remember earlier I said, all right, so here it is, reveal the eyes. All right, biggest score booster according to ChatGPT. All right, now let's bring that image back. Okay. When I took this image and I saw the reflection in of the light in the glasses, my immediate thought was, "Oh, this reminds me of the technique used in Sin City, the movie Sin City, where one of the characters wore glasses and they were always presented as solid white." And I said, this reminds me of that. That's pretty cool. I kind of like it. All right. But instead of going in and tweaking it so that the entire glasses are full bright, I kind of left it with a little bit of gradation. All right. And I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of gradation, right, of the edge of my softbox. Okay. And, I didn't give it second thought until I got that response back from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT identifies that the brightness in the glasses as being unfavorable, although I did it, I I looked at it as a favorable option. Okay. And I would even go so far as I would do it and clean it up so it's more white. Okay. So this is where you can say, okay, well, I hear what you're saying, ChatGPT, but I'm going to totally ignore you because I want to purposely do this. Okay. Now, granted, that's a gamble because who knows what the actual judge that's going to be judging the image is going to say about the glasses. They can say, I don't like that effect of the glasses. I wish there wasn't the glare. I'm going to score it negatively. All right. However, maybe I will find a judge that is sympathetic and would say, "Ooh, that's different. I haven't seen that in portraiture in a long time. I kind of like it. It's kind of going against the norm. I'm going to score it higher." It's a gamble. All right. Now you can say, "Well, I'm going to play it safe." All right. It's identifying this as a negative. More than likely, by consensus, the majority of judges would look at it as a negative and score negatively on that. So I'm going to go ahead and edit and clean that up so that we can see the person's eyes through the glasses. Okay. Guaranteeing. What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, when I was looking at that picture, I would think that for the purpose that you just put it together or for advertising purposes, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but if I were entering that in a photography contest, I could see where
Yeah.
different content would knock it down because of the reason that ChatGPT said.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So this is where you have to weigh, your options and say, okay, which way do I want to favor it? All right. You can stick to your guns and say, I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to keep it. And if it scores low, it scores low. Oh, well. All right. Or you can say, well, it goes against my better judgment. I want to keep it, but I also want to win an award. So I'm going to go ahead and fix it because I know the majority of judges would probably score it higher if I fixed it. Okay. So it's a matter of principle, in my opinion, right? So
Well, I think it's kind of what since you're referring to ChatGPT, I use Claude. That's my agent of choice.
right,
Uh, but I found that working with those kinds of things, like photography, for instance, you got to know what you're talking about. Don't believe everything they say, and I found them to be wonderful for this kind of information to give me things I didn't think about, but
right,
they certainly aren't going to sway my judgment of what I feel in my gut. Yeah.
yeah, and and
Hey, Alan.
Alan is back. Hey, hey, hey!
Hey.
Been not for long, but I'm here.
Awesome. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice seeing you again. We are talking about using ChatGPT to edit images. All right. Just to catch you up really, really quick and really fast, ChatGPT added an integration into Lightroom. So you can do very basic, fundamental edits to an image. Just typing in text and say, "Hey, fix this." All right, and it'll fix it using Lightroom, the online version uses that, and then you can open up your image in the Lightroom app online. However, there's a limit of 2 images, and I ran out of my limit, so I can't, I can't demonstrate it. Who knew? But anyway, I'm going over alternates that you can use. And right now we're discussing using ChatGPT to score an image and tell us how we can score higher for competition. All right. So yeah. So getting back to what you said, Brian, is uh, we have to take what ChatGPT gives us with a grain of salt. All right. And there is a limitation, based on our understanding of editing and even the language that's used for analyzing images. All right. So we can take what ChatGPT gives us, and if we understand it deeply enough, we can make that decision for ourselves. But oftentimes, if we don't have a full understanding, it becomes a crapshoot and it says, well, I really don't know exactly what ChatGPT is talking about here. So I can't take any action. All right. But the nice thing about ChatGPT being a language model is if there is anything that you do not understand about what ChatGPT tells you, you can directly ask it and it will explain it. All right. So that's a great tool of learning how to analyze an image for editing. And we'll get to that when we get to the other part. Okay. So here it is. I asked it to say, okay, well, I want to hedge my bet and see if I can raise my score from, the 88 up into the early mid 90s. So it says, okay, well, let's fix revealing the eyes. All right, so get rid of that. All right, and just for you, Alan, this is the image I asked it to analyze. Okay. So it says, okay, well, some of the fix options are tilt the glasses downward. Well, I can't. I've already shot this. I can't get the model back or the situation back. I can't reshoot it. So that option is not useful. All right. So right off the bat, I can dismiss that. Lower the key light slightly so the reflections move off the lens. Again, this is assuming that I can reshoot it. All right. Use anti-reflective lenses. Again, I can't use that. So all those suggestions are based on the ability to reshoot this model in this situation. Okay. However, this is useful information for future projects. All right. Where now I take a photo and I look at it and I say, oh, I got glare on the glasses, kind of like that previous shot I did. And I remember ChatGPT told me I can, tilt the angle of the glasses. I can move my light. All right. So it gives suggestions on how to fix it the next time. Okay. So yep.
Would it also give you the, like on that one there, tilt the glasses? That's definitely out of the question, but like lower the key light or use anti-reflective lenses, that would seem like maybe someone has the technique to do that post.
Well, you can't make glasses anti-reflective in post.
All right.
However, you can lower the key light. Absolutely. Okay. Just in the glasses, you would need some kind of local adjustment. But what happens when you take white and you lower the exposure?
It's gray muddy.
Becomes gray and muddy. Will you ever see his eyes?
No.
No. All you'll see is gray, muddy, a gray, muddy lens. Okay. Simply because that's all it's doing is lowering the exposure. All right. So this suggestion here is based on being able to reshoot it. All right. So right off the bat, we can see that while those suggestions are legitimate suggestions, okay, it's assuming that we can reshoot. Okay. Now, part of that could be in the way I worded it. Yes, tell me what specific adjustments I can use to create a higher score. Well, I didn't specify what kind of adjustments I was looking for. I just say, hey, give me whatever adjustments needed, and tilting the glasses or moving the key light, they are legitimate adjustments, right? It's just they don't apply to this particular situation because I've already shot it. All right. So had I reworded this a little bit more properly, I could have said, yes, tell me what specific editing or post-production adjustments I can use to obtain a higher score. Then it would give me a more pointed set of instructions based on the fact that I've already shot it and I can't reshoot it. All right.
For Lightroom and Photoshop options would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to beat a slow moving horse here, but it says add subtle fill light to the shadow side. Again, it's asking me to modify the lighting on set. Doesn't help. Clean up the background distractions. All right. By reframing Again, can't do it because I've already shot it. Darken the background highlights. That's something that I could use. I could do, right? And it says using a graduated mask. Okay, so or use background blur enhancement. All right, so those two out of the three suggestions I actually can do in post. Okay, refine the hand and arm positioning. Again, it's baked into the image. I can't ask the guy to move because I'm not reshooting. Okay. Micro contrast, skin tone refinement in post processing, and even says it right there in post processing. All right. These are some things that I can do. Reduce the harsh contrast, slightly warm the midtones, things like that. Possibly crop for a stronger presence. All right. So crop slightly above mid thigh to emphasize the torso and the face. That's something that I could use in post. Okay. This removes the dead space and increases visual authority. Perfect. Okay. And it gives you a summation of the possible final score potential. A conservative improvement of 92 to 100. A well executed across all points, 94, 95 to 100. Okay. So it's already taken a very strong image and saying, hey, we can make it stronger. All right. So hopefully this lets you realize that how you can use ChatGPT to analyze and score an image and then give you suggestions. Okay. All right. So here in this ChatGPT, I didn't bother saying score this image, right? Because I really wasn't thinking in terms of submitting this for a competition. I just said, all right, I took this picture. Give me some ideas of what I can use to edit this image to make it more visually stronger. Okay. And I used that specific language in the prompt. I said, suggest possible edits. All right. I didn't say adjustments. I said edits. All right. To visually strengthen this image. Now, I could have gone a little bit cleaner and said, okay, give me specific edits that I can use in Lightroom or edits I can use in Photoshop. And then, of course, it would give me a response based on that criteria. Okay. But here I was basically just looking for an overall summation of what the image strong points are and what the weak points are. And that's exactly how it broke it down. So it first it tells me what is actually working with the image as is. All right. So it says it's got a very clear story with strong emotion. Okay. And it says, it is strong and engaging. So right off the bat, I know that, hey, I got a decent enough image that it's visually appealing and engaging. All right. It also has nice color contrast with warm browns for the horse and of course, the red and white for Santa. All right. Which instantly reads as holiday. Now, remember, this is not a person making these comments. This is an AI robot that is analyzing a photograph and identifying various aspects of that photograph. So it's responding without any emotion. It's just saying, hey, these are all my objective observations, all right, and spitting them out. It sees that it's got good sharpness on the key subjects, face are readable, and the moment feels intentional. Okay, which is great. These are all very, very positive, very strong aspects for an image. And then it gives me what is wrong. Okay, and this is the part that I usually stress when you are editing an image. All right. Um, I usually I usually don't stress what is good, you know, because I don't know. I kind of give it as that's already a given that you're already going to understand what you like about the image. It's more about analyzing what you don't like and how to fix it that I concentrate on. But just keep in mind that, yes, ChatGPT is correct that you should take into consideration what the strong points are, because the more strong points you have in an image, the easier it is for you to edit and get it to that next level. Okay. So it says, okay, well, I got a very busy background. All right. Let me switch over to Lightroom here. Okay. And we can definitely see that, yes, indeed, it is a very busy background. All right. We can see that, especially in between the horse and the Santas, we have all this stuff here that is just kind of really creating a lot of distraction in between these two elements. Okay. So that is something that I would definitely pick up had I not used ChatGPT. All right. I says, okay, all this stuff in the middle is just really, distracting everything. Okay. All right. Tight crop on the right side. Tight crop on the right side. All right. Tight crop on. See, this I probably don't agree with. All right. And this is one of those things where you have to take whatever ChatGPT gives you and weigh it against your own judgment. All right. So if we, yeah, I don't really see it because, all right, I kind of identify this line as being the beginning of my subject on the left hand side. Okay. And this is kind of the beginning of the subject on the right hand side. Okay. I'm using the backs of both heads as my guide. And I did this when I shot it. All right. So this right here, this composition was something I purposely did. All right, in order to get my subjects fairly central to my composition. All right, and balanced within the frame. So I used the back of both heads as my guide. All right. So when ChatGPT says that, this part here is too tight, and I look at the spacing and I go, no, I don't find it too tight. All right. But what ChatGPT is probably taking into account is Santa's body. All right. And if that's the case, then yeah, I can understand where it might say it's a little tight. All right. However, I don't personally agree with it. So this is something that I could, dismiss. Also, because I can't reshoot it, there is no additional information to that side of the image. So it's not like I can fix it by creating more room there. Okay. However, let's see what ChatGPT says. Santa is very close to the frame edge, which makes the composition feels slightly cramped. Okay. I don't agree, but It identified it. Okay. Focal hierarchy is split. Okay. This I agree. The eye bounces between the horse's head and Santa's bright white hat and white beard, and of course the Santa letters in between. Okay, so I agree. There is that awkward split, but again, I find here. Let me switch over. I find that split works for this particular composition. I like the fact that there is a little bit of space between them and they are both looking towards each other. Okay. Now we already identified that there's a lot of clutter in the center. All right. And that I agree with. All right. Highlights in the whites are strong. Okay. That I also agree with. All right. When I originally edited this image, that's one of the first things I did is I toned down my highlight slider down to bring some texture back into the white fur and the beard. Okay, so that one I definitely agree with. And then of course the color cast feels a bit warm overall. Okay. Yes, I also agree with that. All right. And that's something that we have discussed in the past is how to use warm against cool to create that color contrast where, you know, you would pick either a cool tone or a warm tone for your subject. And then for the background, pick its opposite in order to create that visual contrast between foreground and background elements. Okay. And looking at this image, I can see where if I cool down the background a little bit more, it will create that separation and make those foreground elements pop forward a little bit more, along with, you know, decluttering and softening up that background. Okay. So that's a good solid suggestion. Okay. All right. And then it says edits that you can do to strengthen your image, both practical and high impact. So, because I did not specify any particular program, it's just going to give me very generic suggestions, and it would be up to me to determine what tool to use to fix it. Okay. As we go into another example, I'll be more specific about the software and we'll show you how we can use it. Okay. So it says, first of all, simplify the background, which of course we already identified early on. Okay. So add background blur, all right, or lens blur, or selective softening. All right. And it says behind the horse, Santa, and elf to reduce detail competition. Perfect. All right. So now it's up to me as the editor to say, okay, what tools am I familiar with that will allow me to do that? Well, obviously, it's going to be with some kind of local adjustment that allows me to separate my subject from my background. Okay. So I can, based on my ability, I can say, okay, well, I can either see if I can use one of the AI tools. So if I go into the develop module, I go to my mask and I says, okay, select the subject. Okay. And what it's going to do is it's going to analyze and select. All right. And you can see it selected all of Santa, the elf, just ahead. Actually, here, let's change this to image white on black. So this is a traditional mask that you would see in Photoshop. So you can see that it missed the whole back end of the horse, and it also captured a part of Santa's chair that says Santa. Okay. So I would need to go ahead and refine this mask by eliminating this. So I can go ahead and using a brush, okay, I can go ahead and oops, what the heck? What the heck did I do? Oh, that was odd. I don't know what button I pressed. All right, go back to my mask. We're gonna subtract with a brush. Make my brush a little bit larger. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and remove all of this. I'm not going to go too crazy with the edit, but just realize that you can, you know, use the prompts as your guide. All right, and we'll just go ahead and switch this back over to a color overlay. All right, there's my color overlay, and we'll reduce that. Okay, so now I can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and invert that mask, invert, and I'm going to reduce the clarity, reduce the texture. I'm going to reduce the highlights, okay. Maybe reduce the contrast a little bit in order to make it pop forward, okay. How much you're going to reduce it, well, that's entirely up to you, okay. We can also use the background blur tool, okay, lens blur, okay, to do additional blurring, okay. All right. Guide the eye to the moment. Dodge and burn. Lighten the horse's eye and the facial plane slightly. Slightly darken bright background elements near the faces, such as the lettering and the window trim. All right. So dodge and burn. All right. So in this particular case, ChatGPT has identified the actual elements that you should look for to either dodge or burn. All right. And of course, now you can use local adjustments to dodge and burn. Okay. So we can say, all right, I'm going to add a brush. I'm going to use a large feather. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and, maybe add a little bit of highlight to the eye. Okay. I don't know, maybe the whole thing here, definitely on the ears. Okay. And then, make your adjustments accordingly. Okay. And of course we can go before and after, before and after. Okay. And just keep plugging away. All right. But the thing is, the takeaway is that ChatGPT is pretty darn good at one, analyzing an image, identifying what is in the image, recognizing what the strengths of the image are, and analyzing it for its weaknesses. All right. And then being able to give suggestions on how you can fix those weaknesses. Okay. So in essence, if you are stuck when you are approaching an edit and you say, okay, I know this image has potential. I don't know where to start. Okay. Or not even where to start. I don't know where to take it. I don't know where to take it. You can ask ChatGPT, okay, and it will make suggestions. All right. Now here's the trick. As you are implementing all of these things at ChatGPT, all right, actually let me switch this. All right. I want to get in your face for this. Okay. As you are using ChatGPT to help you with your edits, do not disconnect your brain from the process and just blindly follow the edits. Put a little attention to it, because oftentimes what that's going to do is it's going to fire the synapses and you're going to say, ooh, this gives me an idea. All right, go with it. Go with your gut instinct of where it can take you. Use the ChatGPT as a starting point, and as you start working through the process, let it lead you to wherever. All right? You don't know where it's going, let it lead you. The beautiful thing, especially about Lightroom, is that you can create alternative versions. Just create a copy, virtual copy, and say, okay, I'm going to explore it this way. All right. Oh, I got another idea. Create another virtual copy. Let's explore it that way. All right. And at the end, you have 2, 3, 4, however many images. You can look at all those images side by side and says, I like where I went with this one. And then at that point, you can get rid of the other ones if they don't matter. All right. Or here's the thing. Create a new JPEG with those edits, feed it back into ChatGPT, and ask it to analyze that and see if it can offer additional edits. Right? All right. Any questions on what we've covered so far? All right. Any? Okay. Can you kind of see the benefits of this particular tool? All right. All right. So, what's that?
I said, I sure can. Like I said, I've been using this other one, which has the same kind of capabilities.
Yeah.
I just found out it had the same capabilities, but yeah, it would be great for those kinds of things. What do I do next? Or give me some ideas on what to do with this.
Right. Exactly. All right. So I took it one step further. All right. Because, like I said, I kind of gave it a very generic prompt. All right. Tell me how to fix it. Tell me how to make it a stronger visual element. All right. And like I said, it kind of responded, said, with all these things. And at the very end, all right, it tells me, if you tell me, oh, let's switch back. Sorry. If you tell me your editing tool, such as Lightroom, Photoshop, Lightroom Mobile, I can translate these into exact sliders and steps. Also, it asks, do you want a storybook or kind of like a soft holiday look? Or do you want a crisp modern look? So I go, ooh, I have options here. It's suggesting options. All right. So right off the bat, if you don't know which way to go, here it is. It's saying, hey, you want to try this or you want to try that? There's a prompt. So I responded back, well, I use Lightroom Classic, and I would like a storybook holiday look. All right. And that's what it did. It gave me back a list of things to do within Lightroom Classic Recipe. So it starts off with cropping and composition, all right? Crop and composition before anything else, all right? Because remember, it said that, it kind of was a little, cramped in one area. So it says keep the triangle of the faces. So the horse eye, the elf face, Santa face, possible crop slightly tighter from the top to reduce the window dominance. And if the right edge feels cramped, don't cut tighter there. Leave as much breathing room as you have. Okay. So it already here. Let me reset this. Okay. So already it says, okay, I understand that I said, it's a little tight on the right. So when you crop it, don't crop it any tighter. Okay. But it did say crop in from the top. So, unfortunately, it doesn't give you more information than that. All right. How much tighter? Okay. So we can see, is this tight enough? Well, yeah, actually, it does look a little bit better. Okay. Now, the nice thing about it is um, with the crop tool in Lightroom, you have the option of grids. All right. And if you press the letter O when you are in the crop tool, it's going to cycle through a bunch of different grids. All right, here's a 2x2. This is dynamic dynamic triangles. All right, this is the golden means grid. This is the golden mean spiral. Okay, and then aspect ratios. Here's a fine grid, and here's your typical rule of thirds grid. All right. So right here, let's pause here, because if we look at it, we have our friend of mine likes to call them PowerPoints. Okay, which are the two intersections of these upper quadrants. All right, I call them points of interest. All right, regardless of what you call them, notice what's very close to this PowerPoint and what's very close to this PowerPoint. The eyes of both creatures. Ooh, I'm sorry, I call my friend a creature. The eyes of the horse and the Santa. Okay, and if you remember, one of the things that we are subconsciously attracted to are the eyes of people, the eyes of animals. We're drawn to the eyes first. Okay, so here it is. It's actually placing the eyes in that strong PowerPoint, that point of interest. All right. Now, when I cropped it, you saw I just kind of arbitrarily did it, but I guess subconsciously this is where I stopped. Experience, who knows? All right, but there's something to be said about that fate. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next thing on the basic panel. All right. So this is where if you really are unsure of where to go, all right, not only tells you what you need to do, but where to find it and what tools to apply. And it gives you a suggestion of the actual settings. So here it is, the white balance, all right, slightly cooler than current. So the beard, the trim, so it reads clean. Then add warmth later via grading. So it's basically telling me, look, we're going to do this in 2 steps. Okay, we're going to use we're going to cool the image overall. All right, global edit. But when we use our color grading, we're going to warm up very specific areas. All right. And then it gives you a suggestion of what values to add. All right. So now the program ChatGPT does not know what the color temperature setting is that you have, currently on the image. All right. But it does say it needs to go from where you have it. It needs to cool off by anywhere between 200 and 600 points. Okay. So it's not going to say move it to X temperature because it doesn't know what X is. All right. It just says, okay, whatever it is, just reduce it. Whatever it is, just add to it. Okay. So here it says that, in the basic panel, take the temperature and just cool it off about 200 points. Okay. So now the thing is, okay, I'm going to select that. And if I hold the shift key and go on the down arrow, it's going to, every time I hit it once, it's going to drop by 100 points. So right now it's at 5650. Okay. So let's see if I can do this. Holding the shift key, I hit the down arrow, it goes to 5450 and 52. So it goes down by 200. All right. So right there, I dropped it down 400 points. And it suggested between 2 and 6. So 400's the halfway point. Okay. Good enough. All right. Now at any time, we can just take the backslash key. All right. And if we hit the backslash key, it's going to show us let's enter. It's going to show us the before and after. Before and after. All right. Now, before, and what I did is I think I applied the AI adaptive color at one point. Okay. So let's change that to Adobe Portrait. There we go. All right, before and after, before and after. Okay. All right. Oops. Tint, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites. So literally every slider, all right, it says add, subtract, add here, subtract there, and it gives you a range, all right? So it doesn't remove you from using your head about how to edit it. You have the flexibility of salt and pepper to taste, all right? But it's giving you a suggestion, all right? It's saying, well, storybook softness, we're going to reduce the contrast, all right? Anywhere between 10 and 50 points. And you can see right off the bat that really softens it up, okay? Highlights, negative 25 to 50, all right? And again, I mentioned that that's something that I did previously in order to bring out the detail of the beard, all right? So here it is before. See how it looks kind of washed out? As soon as I bring it down, we're getting some texture back, okay? And then the whites, it's also telling me bring the whites down. All right, so I bring the whites down about 30 points. We definitely see a lot of that texture returning in the collar, all right? So these are all very legit suggestions for your edit, all right? Now, again, if you do a recommended edit and you don't like the results, just don't do it. Okay. So it says, all right, bring the dehaze down. Did it say? Dehaze, 2 to 8 points. All right. Anywhere. So very, very slight. I'm not liking that because it's kind of getting rid of the contrast in the color. If anything, I might even boost it up. All right. Well, no, because, oops, wrong one. Because we kind of want the softness of the storybook. All right. So maybe the suggestion is legit. Okay. All right. Maybe just add a little bit of clarity, maybe, or add a little bit of texture to bring out. But again, that kind of gets rid of that softness, it's storybook softness. All right. So far, it looks like everything that it's suggesting is very legit for that look. Now, I'm kind of fighting my own biases. I tend to like things that are a little bit more sharp and contrasty. So it's taking a lot of effort right now to kind of suppress that for you guys. All right. So just so you know. All right. Tone curve. All right. So it says, go to the tone curve and what's it say? Lift the black point, add a soft S curve to the midtones, pull the highlights down. All right. So let's go to, we're going to adjust, here we go. Bring the black point down, right? There we go. That works. Okay. And then you just make your way down. Hue saturation, the red Santa suit in the background, reduce the background competition by reducing saturation. The greens, the oranges, and the yellows. So it gives you very specific color channels to hit within that tool. Okay. Then it goes to color grading for that storybook magic. All right. The shadows, make them deep, warm, with a hint of evergreen. So it tells you, we're adding either a little bit of teal or we're adding a little bit of green, okay, into the shadows. Into the midtones, we're going to add a little bit of warm amber. And into the highlights, we want a kind of creamy warmth. So it's going to, keep the hue a little bit more to the orangey end. Okay. And then the blending and the balance to favor, of course, the warmer tones and highlights. Okay. So here it is. The goal is to create a warm, cozy highlights with slightly cooler or neutral shadows for depth. Okay. So not only tells you what to do, but it's also telling you why it's making those suggestions. All right. Then it says, all right, okay, those are all our global edits. Now it's time to go into our masking for a direct attention to the faces. So it's asking you to create 3 masks plus 1 background mask. Okay. And it says, all right, the subject mask. All right. So basically select the subject. The horse's eye and face, you can use a brush. And the Santa face, use a brush. Okay. And then the background mask, basically just take your subject mask that you created at the beginning, duplicate it, and invert it. All right. Simple enough. Okay. Then we go into very specific effects. It's saying, let's add a little vignette and a little bit of a subject bloom effect. All right. So we kind of touched on what a bloom effect is when we discussed editing for like the Pip Ventura effect, and that's where you take the whites and it kind of creates a little bit of this glowing. Anything that's light creates kind of like a glowing effect. That's bloom. Okay. And it tells you how to do it. All right. And it also says maybe add a little bit of grain for texture. Okay. And then finally, the detail. Don't over sharpen, obviously, because we're creating a soft look. All right. But it gives you suggestions for sharpening, for masking, and for noise reduction. Okay. And that's pretty much it. How to edit that particular image. All right. So if you're stuck, if you don't know what direction to take your image, throw it into ChatGPT, see what it says. All right. And take it where it goes. Use that as a catalyst for additional edits. Because, like I said, once you start the process, if you're involved in the process, if you're paying attention and are engaged in the process, other ideas will materialize. Okay? All right. Any questions? Yes, no, maybe? All right.
I have no questions. It's just I'm in agreement with you. It's interesting the possibilities. It's like a streamlined tutor or a tutor on steroids in some ways. You know, if you're trying to figure out a way to do something.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna throw in this kind of junky.
Can I say one thing though about the Santa before you leave?
Yep.
As soon as, when I saw that green thing, I could not unsee it. Looks like he's spitting out a ribbon of something out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah. That's Santa's chair in the background. It's made out of natural
This
wood.
thing up in the Santa sign. See that thing that looks like?
Oh, this.
Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
All right. Damn you. I did not see that before. I did not associate it that way. And now you're right. I cannot unsee it. Man.
My work is done.
Who invited you to this party? Damn it. Oh my God, you're right. Now I can't unsee it. Oh my God. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can create a background mask. Yeah. Let's see. All right, we're gonna subtract brush. Let's subtract the horse. All right. Okay, and let's bring that exposure down. Oh, that's right. It caught. All right, we're going to subtract. Oops. No, we're gonna add a brush. We're gonna add that. All right. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. We're gonna increase the contrast, decrease, clarity. Oh, maybe not so much. There we go. A little better. Maybe. Who knows? Okay. So I took this yesterday. And you can see that it looks a little washed out. So I want to edit this, but I say, you know, I really don't know where to start. So I kick out a JPEG. All right, here's my JPEG. All right. I'm going to go ahead, open up ChatGPT, and I'm going to go ahead and load that in. All right. And I'm going to say, using Lightroom. Actually, let me make it more specific. Classic. All right. Give me suggestions on how to edit this properly. Okay. All right. So I'm using completely different wording from previous. All right. Just so you can see that it really doesn't matter as long as you have the keywords how to edit. All right. Going to think on it a little bit. It's basically at this point, it's analyzing the image. Okay. Using its image models to recognize the elements. Okay. And it says you've got a strong subject, the illuminated helmet and armor, and a soft wintry background. The main issues are it's flashy on camera flash look. Specular highlights are visible on the armory and slightly flat midtones. Okay. Oops. Select. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Subject, a touch too cool or neutral. All right. The background has distractions. It recognizes the dark tree mass on the left and stray people or shape at the bottom and power lines at the top. All right. So, well, I don't really see people on the bottom. Oh, there is. Holy cow. Right here, there's a person in the background. I'll be darned. Holy cow. It spotted something that I didn't see. Okay.
1.5 feet back there.
Yeah.
Sunglasses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Behind the shoulder pad. Wow. Okay. See? Look at that. Okay. And then the mask visor is very dark. And the LEDs are bright and can clip easily. All right. So below is the Lightroom Classic workflow. All right. So it's saying use the crop to remove the distractions. So basically trim the top to minimize or kill the power lines and trim the bottom left. Excuse me. All right. And consider either a 4:5 aspect ratio or 16:9. So it's currently 16:9, depending on your goal. My preference is keep it to the 16:9. But, if we crop a little bit, all right, see, we're pretty, and this is another thing that I find about going through these particular exercises. I have a set way of doing my edits, okay? Because I have what's the best description? I have uh, pre-scripted biases on what I feel a good image is. All right. And when it comes to like tops of people's heads, you can go one of two ways. One, you don't crop, cut off the tops of people's heads, or you crop off tops of people's heads depending on the image. So here it is. I'm fighting the instinct to crop off the top of the head, but ChatGPT is saying crop the top. Okay. So let's go. It's saying crop the top and crop the bottom. All right. But also favor a little bit to the right hand side in order to crop the people out on the left hand side. Okay. So how much? That's it's still a very subjective question. And so it gives you options within those parameters. All right. So I'm going to go 100% against my instinct, and I'm going to keep this crop here. It actually doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad at all. Okay. All right. Then it says in the basic panel, what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the white balance, tonality, and presence. Okay. So we need the white balance eyedropper in order to neutralize the white armor. All right. So avoid any colored LED spill. So I have to apply it to some part of the white armor. All right. So right there. Okay. Oh, made that gold pop out a little bit more, didn't it? Okay. And then fine tune it. If it feels sterile or cold, nudge the temperature to the warm side. Or if it looks too bronzy or greenish, adjust the tint towards the magenta. I don't think either one of those. I kind of like where it landed. I like that. I'm getting a little spill of red from the lights up top and a little bit of red down in the bottom. You can see it here and you can see it here. All right. But that doesn't bother me because I understand it's coming from the LEDs. Okay. Tone wise, the exposure adjusts so the white armor is bright but not glaring. All right. So here, it's giving you suggestions for you to base it on your own salt and pepper to taste. It's not giving you specific measurements. It's not saying like previously. It's not saying plus 20 or whatever. Okay, so what is it? Exposure. All right, highlights, pull them down to recover the white armor detail. All right, so it already understands if you go up on the exposure, you might blow out some details. You bring it back with the highlight. Shadows, lift it a little bit. Whites, it's telling you how to do the, how to set your white point by holding the alter option while dragging. I'll show you that in a second. And then
This might be random, but all these steps here, if you're in Lightroom, could you tell ChatGPT to say, give me all the settings to turn all your recommendations into a preset? And then enable the preset and see what happens.
I don't think it can create a preset. If I recall correctly, something tells me that ChatGPT once gave me the suggestion of saving these to create a preset. All right, but did not create the preset for me. But we can explore it. We can explore it.
Or the other side of that, I don't know, I know even less about this, but in the Photoshop side of it, could you say, hey, here's the recommendation, now write me a Photoshop action?
Yeah.
Is that same kind of thinking or no?
It's probably along the same line of thinking. However, when it comes to creating presets and creating actions, there's a lot of rules for creating a good usable preset. All right. There's very rarely a preset or an action that works across the board on all images to get a very specific look. So for that, I can understand why it wouldn't make a preset or an action, simply because there are way too many loose variables for it to work effectively. All right. If it makes a preset, the preset would be useful for that image and that image only. And at that point, what good is it? Right? All right. So let's go with these suggestions. So it says go up on the exposure until we get a bright armor, and then bring the highlights down to bring some of that detail back in the armor. Okay, and then open up the shadows so we can see some of the detail in the clothing, and that looks pretty darn good. Okay, and then it says use the Alt or Option key to set your white point. And I know we've covered it in the past, but it may have been a while. Okay. As I mentioned, a white point and a black, or a white point and a black point are the extreme ends of your exposure range, where black is black with no detail, all right, and white is white with no detail. So 255 on the RGB is pure white, and 0 on the RGB is pure black. Okay. So what we can do is we can set those points in our image. So if our image contains dark pixels and light pixels, but none of them go to the extreme black or white edges, we can push that exposure from where it sits out to achieve its full potential. And we do that by pressing and holding the Alt or the Option key. And then if we move the whites, it also works with the black slider. It also works with the shadows and highlights. But typically we use it to set our white point. All right. So everything that you see white and blue means that, especially the blue, means that we have blown out those areas. Everything in blue is or in this case, red here. Everything in red is white with no detail. Okay, so it's basically blown out. All right, you can see how blown out that looks. Okay, so what we do is we just, whenever we see any kind, what we want to do is we want to bring it till we don't see anything. All right. However, what we're seeing here are all these areas where these LED lights are lit. Okay. All those points are white that's blown out. Okay. So we can make a determination that says, okay, do we need to actually recover those points? No, we don't, because those are specular highlights. They're, if they're white, they're white. It doesn't matter. However, what we want to do is look at our background sky. We do want to look at the armor, okay? And if we see any of that armor, what we want to do is we want to bring it so we just don't see that armor anymore, okay? And then what that means is we've set the white point to be so that the brightest part of that armor is white, not gray, light gray, middle gray, all right? And we do the same thing with the black. We can click and hold the Alt or Option key, and as soon, everything you see there is now black with no detail. And what we want to do is we want to bring it up until we just don't see it. Okay. So that means everything now sits between our black point and our white point. Not within it, but up to it. Okay. All right. And then we can now go ahead and adjust the other areas. All right. Now, it gave you an order starting with exposure, then your highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. That's the order that Lightroom puts everything in. But if you recall, I hate that order. The order that I like to do it is to set your black point and your white point first, and then fix everything in the middle. All right. So I tend to go bottom up, not top down. Okay. But that's just me. Work it the way you want. I just prefer setting the black and white points first, because now I set my exposure, I set my highlights, and then I come back and I set my black and white point. I now have to go back up and adjust my highlights, and maybe even sometimes I would need to adjust my exposure. Okay. But had I done it the other way around, I wouldn't have to go back to fixing anything. Okay. All right.
Doc,
Yeah.
when you were tweaking the white and black with the Alt key,
Yep.
does that have the similar kind of thing if you are doing something, say, with highlights or some of these other?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
Alt option with the highlights. Okay. However, just understand that where this will be useful is once you set your no, when you use the black and the white points to set your black and white points, if you max those two sliders out and you still aren't able to set a proper point, then you would move up and use the highlights and shadows slider to help set those points. All right. Um, if you can set your points with the black and white sliders, then I don't suggest using that Alt option capability with the other two sliders, because there's nothing to guide by. You've already set your white point and already set your black point. All right. What that's doing is now moving all the lighter pixels. All right. Everything from light leaning towards the midpoint. Okay. That inner set of gray tones. It's not targeting those very, very, very light tones. It's targeting the next zone. Okay. So I would caution you setting any kind of white or black points with those sliders. Okay. Only use them in extreme situations.
So to clarify, when you're saying Alt option, you're talking, is that what you're talking?
Yep.
Windows, Mac?
Yeah.
So Windows will be Alt,
Okay.
Mac will be Options key. All right. And then you just press and hold that key while you're manipulating the slider.
Now, I like the way it really brought the uniform out, the details of the uniform.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it was non-existent.
Yeah. So this is the before. All right. And this is the after. So it definitely warmed everything up and definitely brightened everything up. Okay.
I've been doing it that way for a long time.
Oh, with the
Not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah, me too. If I was working from the bottom up, I get that, the highlight.
yeah, there
Start with black, white, do the height.
there you go. All right. So we set our tone. Now we set our presence, and it's saying to definitely add some texture. It'll add the texture to the panels, because the armor panels love texture. And actually, when we played around with the setting our white and black points, it brought out much of that texture already. All right. So here's before. All right. And here's after. Okay. All right. So we're going to add texture. We're going to add clarity. And it also says to add a touch of dehaze, but only if it feels foggy or flat. All right. So it does give you that caveat. All right. So texture anywhere from 5 to 15, a little bit of clarity. So my go-to rule that I use for texture and clarity, and you don't have to follow this rule, all right? I typically set my texture first. All right, so let's go. I'm going to set it to 20. Whatever I set my texture to, I typically add half that in my clarity. So my clarity I will bring to 10. Okay. I find this is a nice balance because oftentimes if you bring your clarity higher than your texture, it tends to make things look a little crunchy. All right. If you like the crunch, go for it. But I kind of like that. Oops, wrong slider. I kind of like that just bringing out the texture a little bit without so much crunch.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I've been doing that on import a lot in my import
Yes.
preset. Because
Yes.
I remember you talking about that, like the preset that you've done that, and I figured out what was approximately right for my lenses and my camera.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just one thing less that you have to worry about when you edit. Okay. Or if you do need to edit it, what you're doing is you're just modifying what you already added. Okay. But yeah, I tend to create presets that kind of favor certain things that I like. Okay. All right. So that's for the for texture. All right. Then it says add a gentle S curve, slight lifting highlights, and slightly dipping the shadows. If Flash makes it too punchy, keep the curve mild and let masks do the heavy lifting. All right. So again, there it's kind of giving you options. All right. I usually don't do much with the curves adjustment. I usually go to the curves adjustment when I've exceeded the limitations of sliders. But you know what? Let's go. We're gonna give it a medium contrast, and before, after, very subtle, very subtle. You know, uh, salt and pepper to taste, I guess. Does it really make any big difference? A little bit. Do I like it? I could take it or leave it. Okay. Then hue saturation, color mixer, make the bronze and the LED pop without chaos. So for the bronze panels, it's saying target the orange yellow sliders and add saturation and reduce the luminosity slightly. All right. And it gives you a warning. If it looks too green, adjust the yellow hue slightly towards orange. Okay. So we go to our color mixer and we go to, what was it? Let's go back. Saturation and luminosity. Okay. So saturation, the orange, added a little saturation, and luminosity brought it down. Ooh, I kind of do like that. Okay. All right. And then the LEDs, the greens and the reds, be careful. Saturation can clip and look neon. If the LEDs look too radioactive, the green saturation down slightly and green luminosity up slightly. Okay. Same idea for the red if needed. Okay. So saturation on the greens and even the aqua. You know, Oh, okay. Yeah, I am seeing it. Okay. All right. Actually, that worked kind of, sort of, on some of them. The ones down here, not so much. All right. Luminosity on the greens, the aqua. There we go. If we bring the luminosity down, it makes those colors pop more. Wow, look at that. Okay, that worked. And then the detail panel, sharpening, anywhere from 40 to 70, masking, and noise reduction as needed. All right, so let's see, detail. We're gonna add some sharpening. We're gonna bring the detail up, or the detail and then the masking to about 70, 80. Okay. And if you press and hold the Alt key while you're moving your masking, anything that's white, that's where the sharpening is going to be applied. So it's basically just saying apply it to the edges. And about 70 to 80, that really targets it. Okay. So it's pretty good on that. All right. And then lastly, goes into local masks. All right. Select subject mask. And it just says bump this, bump that. Okay. And it's probably because it's probably looking to separate it from the background. Looking at the subject, I'm okay with the way the subject is. I think the background definitely needs to be reduced. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore the masking on the subject and just go to the background. And it says to reduce it by a little bit. All right, well, we'll see. Mask, background. Oh, it kind of grabbed the shirt there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna subtract with a brush. All right, we're gonna subtract all of this. Oh, it even selected some of
the
yeah. Okay, so I guess the lightness of the armor kind of identified a little bit. Okay. And then we're just going to bring it down a little bit. Anywhere between 0.2 and 0.6. I'm about 0.5 right now. Yeah, that works. Okay. So before, after. And you know what? I would even say let's take that background. I'm going to cool that background off a little bit too. All right. Because me personally, I like that contrast of warm to cool. So if you got a warm subject, let's cool the background off a little bit and vice versa. And that to me works. Okay. So this is editing to ChatGPT. And let's see, heal clone distractions. All right, so it's saying the power lines. Yeah, we could do that. I'm not going to waste time doing that right now. And what else does it say? Crop and post crop vignette. So it says add a little vignette. Okay, so yeah, that I agree with. I kind of where's my effects? We're going to do a little bit post crop vignette. And we're gonna maintain our highlights. Okay, so before, after, just a very slight, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, very slight vignette. All right. And then it comes up with some other suggestions. All right. Clean sci-fi, mostly natural, create more of a neutral white balance with controlled highlights, crisp texture, subdued background. If you want something a little bit more cinematic, make the background darker, less saturated, and maybe even slightly warmer subject, uh, uh, which will create a stronger vignette with slightly lifted shadows on the visor. Okay, so, well, let's see. Can we lift the shadows on the visor? Let's break that down. Auto mask. All right. Lift. Ooh. Okay. I kind of like that. Wow. All right. This thing keeps surprising me. It really, really does. All right. So before, after. Yeah. Okay. That's a pretty cool touch. All right. And then neon text, slightly cooler, white balance, more saturated LEDs, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. What do you guys think? I'm impressed. To be honest, I've never really did this exercise until now. I'm seriously impressed. Seriously
That's some things
impressed.
that you would never think it was going to do. It surprised me when it told you to do something.
Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, some of these things I was reading and like, I would never do this. Why it's asking. So, like I said, I fought the urge not to give in to my sensibilities and just follow what it gave me. And let me tell you, it taught this old dog some new tricks. Uh, I'm pretty impressed. I might start using this tool a little bit more than I realize.
It's like when you decide to not follow the GPS unit.
You never get
I
lost
told
with
you
the
to turn
GPS.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
better
yeah,
than the GPS, son.
yeah.
I remember my daughter-in-law said she was the GPS was wrong, and she was in Hamden going to East Haven. Told her how to go. Oh, that's wrong. Calls up my son. Where are you? I'm in Bridgeport, in Paddock Village thing. He said, did you follow the GPS? No, the GPS was wrong.
Yeah, I almost did that once a few years back. I was on the highway and looking at I'm following GPS and I'm reading the signs, all right? And I'm like, no, there's something's wrong here. It's not sending me the right way. I feel I have to take this next exit. All right. So I took the exit thinking it was taking me back home. All right. And so we're traveling and we're traveling and we're traveling. I'm looking for signs to tell me I'm on the right path. And of course, when you need the signs, they're not there. All right. The GPS is telling me to get off at the next exit to turn around. And I'm like, no. And then I finally see it and I'm like, I'm getting closer to New York. I'm going the total opposite way. And I'm like, okay, I give up. Obviously, it knew better.
What you have to learn with the GPS, if you're familiar with the area, it's not the easiest and quickest way. But if you're not familiar with the area, you're never going to get lost.
Right. Exactly.
That's my thinking.
Exactly. Yeah.
It may not be the quickest way, but you're never going to get lost if you don't know the area.
That's it. That's right. So, anyways, any questions about any of the things that we covered today?
This is going to drive me nuts. I wouldn't do it on some photos. Whoa. What I did was garbage compared to what this thing doing.
Well, hey, let me tell you. All right, go for it. if it's going to give you what you need, if it's going to elevate your image to that next level, this is a very viable tool that you can use. I proved it. All right. I'm still shocked that it gave the results that it did, you know. When should you use it? Well, that's entirely up to you. Throw all your photos in there, who cares? All right. Or if you're just looking for the next competition, hey, here's a good place to do it, you know. And experiment, see if different prompts can help. All right. The nice thing about ChatGPT is if you don't know how to prompt, you can ask it to give you a suitable prompt, and it will tell you what to ask itself to get the results you need, you know? So you can say, hey, look, I'm looking for a soft, dreamy look for a photograph. Write me a prompt that will enable for that kind of results using Lightroom, using Photoshop, whatever the case. And it will give you the prompt. All right. And often it will ask you, do you want me to, implement it? All right. And you just say yes. Or you just cut and paste it back into itself, you know? So the trick is think of ChatGPT as if you are talking with a person. All right. Don't try to shortcut the prompts. Don't try to use obscure, computer language or whatever. All right. Thinking that you're going to speak on the computer's level. Normal conversational level language, and as descriptive as you can be, again, don't shortcut it. So, all right. All right. Final questions, comments, concerns?
I have two observations.
Sure.
Well, I've been using Claude AI.
Yeah, which is
business.
basically
And
the
it's
same thing.
interesting to take a picture, same image, and see what they do side by side. I've also just taken some glance looks at Gemini
Mm-hmm.
because I've as far as these kind of tools are going, it's taken me in a whole new direction in my business. So
Yep. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Chat GPT. It could be any what it's called large language models, LLMs.
Right.
All right. Chat GPT just happens to be the most famous one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like Kleenex now.
Yes.
My second observation is that I think within a year, within a short amount of time, you're going to see something like this as an option in Lightroom. So like when I said, is there a way to set the presets? You're going to take this image and you're going to give it to Lightroom or Photoshop and say exactly the same prompts, and then it'll come back with a bunch of those same kind of suggestions, and you'll click on buttons and it will implement them or not.
Yeah. I think we'll see it in Photoshop before we see it in Lightroom, because we're already one step closer to that by incorporating incorporating Photoshop into ChatGPT. It won't be long before ChatGPT gets imported into Photoshop and Lightroom. So yeah, it's getting there. Which I don't see it as a bad thing if I can edit with real world language. How's that a bad thing? I type in saying, hey, the sky looks too red. Can we make it more orange? What's wrong with editing that way?
And the same argument, that's out there, those are tools, you're the tool user.
Exactly.
Those tools cannot replace you.
exactly.
We're
You know,
working differently than we did last year and 5 years ago, but, you know,
yeah.
throwing stuff at someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that's not really gonna produce.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, on that note, I remember having discussions about the one-click editing that was in, you know, programs like Snapseed and all those other ones that, you know,
Yeah.
for the cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were image styles, basically. All right. You look through the image style, it says, oh, I like this one. It's called Avanti. You know, the name, it was just some name they made up. You look at the preview, you click on it, and it applies that to your image, and you either go, oh, I like it, or oh, that looks terrible, and you move on to the next one, right?
I do a lot of that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. If it gets you, you know, moving forward, that's fine. The argument that I heard back then was that if people rely too heavily on these presets, on these one-click adjustments, then what's going to happen is images are all going to start looking alike. All right. So there's a certain truth to that. But the thing is, whose images are going to all start looking alike? Is it the professionals who know better? I don't think so. It's all going to be the weekend warriors who, you know, could care less about what their images are. They just want to get them looking halfway decent up on social media and out. That's what those presets are for. All right. The other thing that presets are good for is to give you a starting point. When you're first learning, you don't know what direction to go in. These presets give you that kind of like forward movement. All right. And then you say, oh, I kind of like this. Let's tweak it a little bit more. Or, you know, it says, oh, I like this. What did it take? What is in that preset that got me from bland to looking like this? And then you start looking under the hood and say, ah, I see what it did here. All right. Because you're now deconstructing it. All right. And then you can apply what you've learned that way to the next image. Okay. So like you said, yes, these are very useful tools, very legitimate tools to get you from point A to point B. But, you know, if you have any sense at all, it's not going to be the stopgap.
Well, that's part of my workflow, or what I do quite often. I will take a photo and I'll just run through pretty much every Lightroom preset there is on the left,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and oh, that one kind of looks neat, except it's too much this.
Yes.
Part around where they go, okay, yeah, you know, I wouldn't have that much, whatever, you know, back.
Yes.
So tuning it in, and then, or I will do that when I want to find, when I see something I like, and I go,
Yep.
how did they get that effect? And then, you know, bang on it, have a look and see what they did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
recreate.
Yeah. That's perfect. Perfect. That's what it's for.
I see Lightroom and Photoshop doing that kind of stuff, you know, based on requests, you know, and presenting you with, you know, one level higher options to do that. That's not too far off.
Yep. Yep.
Good fun.
Awesome. All right, guys, you got a new tool to play with. And it's not Photoshop or Lightroom. All right.
You know, it's
So,
funny, when you were talking, I was talking with Claude, as a matter of fact. I said, hey, can you do the same stuff? I'm sitting in on this presentation with Ducky-nitis. Good look. Yeah, I
your nose is going there, buddy. I appreciate the sentiment. All right. Okay, guys, next week is holiday week, so I'm not going to be
next year.
We'll see you next year. Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
Have a good holiday.
Yep.
Tomorrow, those of you who know Greg, Greg asked me if I was interested in going down Milford and shooting some of the Christmas lights down there. So he and I are going to be down somewhere in the Milford Green area starting around 5 o'clock. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we'll see you next year.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys, be safe.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.